That rat bastard, bro. That little bird, I had a bad vibe ever since last week. Everyone was talking about how cute that little bird was, and I'm like, I don't get the best first impressions, but maybe I'm just missing the cute mascot. It's one thing to eat the orange, it's another thing to burn the letter. Honestly, that letter was probably just full of him just wanting Lady Anne, aka Vermilio, so burn the letter, maybe not the end of the world. But the needle home, the pen, the thing that would point us towards where we need to go, it doesn't matter if they get there by themselves or not. It's the fact that this creature couldn't figure out that it wasn't something to burn. Like, yeah, he had it in a separate arm, but with a little panic, burns it. We summon a portal. A tiny ass portal. We can give him a bit of supplies, words of encouragement, her favorite food to keep her spirits up, and the thing that would point us home. And Bird Brain screwed the pooch. I never thought such a technically cute anime mascot could make me heated, but leave it to Helck episode 7 because it did just that. But what a fantastic episode, even if it got me a little spicy by the end. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's episode available on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that, head on over there and consider supporting. We got a lot to talk about. This was actually primarily focused outside of Helck's perspective, which I thought was a nice change of pace. I like what they did last week with the kind of splitting it into two pretty evenly, and I totally thought we weren't going to see anything from Helck, and had we not sent them supplies, we probably wouldn't have. And I think what they did a great job with was really catching us up to what the Human King is doing and the threat that's truly at stake. Because we end last week with Ozra just summoning the roots, the vines, and just crushing the force like it was nothing. Quickly into this episode, they establish that he's technically the weakest out of the four, but also, as Han says, if he's surrounded by roots, he's probably the strongest. So it's kind of a coin toss. If he's in an area where he can't really use his full capabilities, he's probably the weakest. The other ones are probably easier to use their abilities and their strength without needing certain conditions to be met. But if his conditions are met, as seen by how quickly he decimated these forces, he's without a doubt probably the strongest, and it makes sense. Something I appreciate is when an author will go the route of making something the most powerful when you don't really expect it. I think most people, when they associate a powerful thing, it's a giant fire blast, a lightning strike. But when you think about it, right, there is so many roots and vines and just things within the earth that if you could manipulate the earth, that's gotta be stronger and probably easier to defeat someone than summoning a big fireball. Like, honestly, it really feels that way. And I think that's why series like One Piece, where they went the route of giving the main character a rubber body, something you don't really see a whole lot of when it comes to a main character in a show or a manga like that. And I think Helck's doing a similar thing with how they went about his abilities and what he was able to do. The interesting thing was they really clarify the resurrection and how these characters are going to get stronger even if they end up dying. Now, what I thought was happening was they came in to kill their people and they were immediately going to resurrect stronger. What seems to be happening is that when they die, they will always resurrect and teleport basically back to the footsteps of the Human King, who has a very menacing design. That mask does not strike me as someone who's doing things for good means. This seems like a crazy bastard who needs to be put down. My thought was either one or two things would have to happen. Kill the Human King to stop the resurrection, or there would be an item or something that he was using that if we shattered that, it would stop it. Seemingly, we gotta kill the Human King, which makes sense, as he is technically the spellcaster. So what seems to happen is that the more battles that these heroes, these awakened heroes will do, the stronger they will get. They're not locked to who they currently are, so you can cut them down, and if they were never to improve, then that really wouldn't be an issue. As they literally say in this episode, they fight things and protect their borders from monsters that continuously spawn. The difference is that they can still improve. So if you fight them, it's entirely possible that you'll give them an idea or they'll naturally develop their skills. It's like training to be better at basketball. Each day you do that, you're naturally going to get better at dribbling, passing, shooting, all these things. The same thing can be said with these heroes. So you fight them, you cut them down, they're just going to improve. They continue to remember, so it's not like they're restarting from where they're at. So that's actually pretty bad. They go from, I think they established them initially as a C rank, to bigger than triple S rank by the time that conversation ended. And basically, the only thing you can do is try to kill the Human King. Defend your borders, increase your defense, gather and figure out who's your main attack force, and then go kill the Human King. Because if you don't kill the king, these things will just endlessly spawn. And in doing so, they will improve and they will get to the point where even this attack, where you capture them all in their tree roots, isn't going to be enough. you can't capture them alive for information. They'll make sure that they kill themselves, or someone will kill them so they can't spill the beans. But most importantly, death means nothing. You've essentially eliminated the idea of a beginning and an end, and they know they can defeat you eventually. And that's honestly terrifying. This was a great info dump episode. This was one of those episodes that really clarifies a lot and makes the uncertainty of where a character like Helck's journey will go, because as I've been saying, I don't know if they're still in the same time period or not. Had we had that pen or the stick, whatever you want to call that thing, it would have made it a lot clearer, a lot faster. But right now, all we know is that when they tried to track them, the little piece that was basically going to point on the map where they were at went outside the map. That could just be that they are outside of charted territories. Completely possible. But because of what's been said, like Anne saying, this feels nostalgic, to me that says they got thrown into the future. And if that's the case, how is that going to work for these two perspectives? Because very clearly they are keeping them separated. That there's going to be two sides. There's going to be Helck and Anne's side and that story arc and what we're seeing, and then there's also everything else. Now, could they quickly become reunited? Sure, maybe. It does feel like you would need someone like Helck in order to defeat the Human King, as Helck does be built different. He-Man in another world be built different, but it's uncertain, and I like that uncertainty and how this is a show that is hitting so different than what you associate with a Demon King hero storyline. And it's not just because we're reversing it. It's not like we're just going after the Demon King and now we're fighting the humans. Like, yeah, I've seen a couple of shows do that over the past few years. The thing about this is how it does world building, characterization, the funny moments, the goofy moments, the moments that do you expect while watching this episode to get infuriated by a bird that may have just cost us our way home? No. But that's kind of the fun unexpectedness of having the characters now separated. And I mean, I never thought a character who was as bandaged up and was bleeding and coughing and as horned up for Vermilio as this man Ozra was would turn out to be such a badass who literally saved the day and is speaking more words of wisdom than anyone else. But that's what I like to see in a show like Helck. Like, as I keep saying every time I cover either Dark Gathering or Helck, these are the two like biggest ones where I'm like, okay, I need more. I need to see more about the world. And I love the fact that the world is as interesting as some of my favorite characters in this show. Like right now, my favorite characters are without a doubt Helck as well as Ozra. I think both of those lead the scenes that they're in, and I'm just glad we didn't end up killing him in this episode, because you never know. When you start pulling out the bows and everyone's getting shot, you never know where a show like this could go. But I'm glad that we made it out at least this episode, but this is going to get bloody. This is going to get intense, and I mean something bigger than a triple S rank, you know that shit going to be fire, chaos, brutal. But we gotta kill the Human King. It's a matter of who's under that mask is now the biggest question. But let me know what you thought of episode 7. Did that bird make you a little spicy, or did you just find it comfy and fun? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell. Like I mentioned, we also have that full live reaction available on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Jake Mullins, X Nico, Yuki Ali, Purple Kush, Q Fogger AMV, and James Wright. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.